So in video 9 we learned how to use the present tense of être, to be, to form the present continuous tense, and we were able to say things like I am talking, you are singing, he is eating in Guernsey. In video 11 we learned the past imperfect and the future tenses of to be, so that we could form the past continuous and future continuous tenses by using the same idea. In this video we will do this and we'll give some examples. First, let's recall the form of the verb être in the imperfect tense. J'étais, I was.
J'étais.
J'étais. Yeah, j'étais, I was. T'étais, you were.
T'étais.
T'étais.
T'étais, you were. Il était, he was.
Il était.
Il était.
Il était, he was. Elle était, she was.
Elle était.
Elle était.
Elle était, she was. Nous étions, we were.
Nous étions.
Nous étions.
Nous étions, we were. Vous étiez, you were.
Vous étiez.
Vous étiez.
Vous étiez, you were. Ils étaient, they were.
Il était.
Il était.
Ils étaient, they were. So we construct the past continuous tense in much the same way as we did the present continuous. Namely, we start with one of the forms of être, we've just recalled, then we add a, and then finally we add the infinitive of the verb we want to use. So here are some examples, mainly using verbs that we have not discussed before, and some new vocabulary. J'étais à Ramadaï-Lu.
J'étais à Ramadaï-Lu.
J'étais à Ramadaï-Lu.
J'étais à Ramadaï-Lu. I was mending the door. T'étais à tailler les roses.
T'étais à tailler les roses.
T'étais à tailler les roses.
T'étais à tailler les roses. You were pruning the roses. Remember, when abbreviated, the E of je and the U of te are not included, and the E of été is joined to the J and the T. So we hear for the two form te, tete, and as in tete à tailler les roses. Okay, we continue with some examples. Il était à sier l'automoto.
Il était à sier l'automoto.
Il était à sier l'automoto.
Il était à sier l'automoto. He was following the other car. Elle était à jouer dans les affaires.
Elle était à jouer dans les affaires.
Elle était à jouer dans les affaires.
Elle était à jouer dans les affaires. She was playing with the children. Nous étions à garder et muisang.
Nous étions à garder et muisang.
Nous étions à regarder et muisang.
Nous étions à garder et muisang. We were looking at the birds. Vous étiez à piéter des légumes.
Vous étiez à piéter des légumes.
Vous étiez à piéter des légumes.
Vous étiez à piéter des légumes. You were planting some vegetables. Il était à goûter tous les vins.
Il était à goûter tous les vins.
Il était à goûter tous les vins.
Il était à goûter tous les vins. They were tasting all the wines. So it's very simple to construct if one remembers the imperfect tense of être, since the main verbs are all the standard forms found in the dictionary. And it's used just like the past continuous tense in English. It's a continuing action or state that is happening in the past, and it's used often when this action or state was interrupted by an event. So now let's construct the future continuous tense, which is used to indicate that something will occur in the future and continue for an expected length of time. It's constructed from the future tense of être plus a plus the infinitive form of the main verb. So let's start by recalling the future tense of être. Serai.
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 Serai, I will be. Tu seras.
Tu seras.
Tu seras.
Tu seras, you will be. Il sera.
Il sera.
Il sera.
Il sera, he will be. Ashra.
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 Ashra, she will be Nushra.
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 Nushra, we will be Vushrai.
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 Vushrai, you will be Ishrai.
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 Ishrai, they will be. So here's some examples of the use of the future continuous tense. Shre atni lechel.
Shre atni lechel.
Shre atni leshel.
Shre atni lechel, I'll be holding the ladder. Tu shra atralai lasmoin kivyo.
Tusra atralai lasmoin kivyo.
Tushra atralai lasamoin kivyo.
Tu shra atralai lasmoin kivyo, you will be travelling next week. However, I should say that tralai is a slightly negative connotation, so perhaps a better translation might be you will be roaming around next week, or you will be gallivanting around next week. Ishra atusai duralanye.
Ishra atusai duran lanye.
Ishra atusai duran lanye.
Ishra atusai duralanye. He'll be coughing during the night. Ashra afrikashye du paisang.
Ashra afrikashye du paisang.
Ashra afrikashye du paisang.
Ashra afrikashye du paisang. She'll be frying some fish. Nushra acher le commoditide la shop.
Nushra acher le commoditide la shop.
Nushra acher le commoditide de la shop.
Nushra acher le commoditide la shop will be fetching the groceries from the shop. Vushrai a sevchai le gavdain shtalravai.
Vushrai a serchai le gardai shtarlavai.
Vushrai aserchai le gardai shtalavai.
Vushra a sevchai le gavdain shtalravai. You will be weeding the garden this afternoon. Ishrai a ekutai pu la kyuk a sunai.
Ishrai a kutai pula kyok a sunai.
Ishrai a akutai pola kyok asunai.
Ishrai a ekutai pu la kyuk a sunai. They'll be listening for the bell to ring. Okay, so the continuous tenses are fine for when you want to describe actions or states which occur over a period of time. But what if you want to describe an event which does not take place over an extended period? For example, suppose that we want to describe an event which has happened, but which is now over and done with. Examples are, I have unlocked the door, I have forwarded the email, he has opened the window. This tense in Guernsey is called the past perfect tense. It's perfect because it describes a completed action, and it's past because this action is over now and so happened in the past. It's constructed in Guernsey in the same way as the examples we have just given in English, using the auxiliary verb have, ave, plus the past participle of the main verb. In the examples which we've just used, these are unlocked, forwarded and opened. So in the remaining part of this video, we won't talk much more about the use of this tense. Instead, we'll concentrate on how to form the past participle in Guernsey. For verbs ending in AIR, which are the most common in Guernsey, the past participle is formed simply by dropping the R, so that they end in AI. Since the R is not pronounced anyway, they essentially sound the same. So an example is piatai, to plant. The past participle is piatai, planted, which sounds exactly the same. So one would say, j'ai piatai les fleurs.
J'ai piatai des fleurs.
J'ai piatai des fleurs.
J'ai piatai des fleurs. I have planted some flowers. For verbs ending in IR, the past participle is also formed from the infinitive by dropping the R, so these sound the same as well. An example is soti, to smell. The past participle is soti, so one would say, t'as soti les fleurs.
T'as sauté les fleurs.
T'as sauté les fleurs.
T'as soti les fleurs. You have smelt the flowers, or some people say you have smelled the flowers. The past participle of the group of verbs ending in IER do sound different to the infinitive, however. Here the ER is dropped, just leaving the I. So they end in I just like the first two classes. An example is manger, to eat. Vous avez mangé votre dîner.
Vous avez mangé votre dîner.
Vous avez mangé votre dîner.
Vous avez mangé votre dîner. You have eaten your dinner. Finally, the verbs ending in RE are the ones for which the past participle changes most from the infinitive. Here the RE is omitted and replaced by U. So an example is vord, to sell. The past participle is vodu. Il a vendu la maison.
Il a vendu la maison.
Il a vendu la maison.
Il a vendu la maison. They have sold their house. So we'll discuss more about when the perfect tenses are used and give some more examples in another video. Okay, so let's end with a chat about the verbs which have irregular past participles. So, just as in English, standard French and other related languages, Guernsey has its share of irregular verbs which don't follow the rules for verbs with one of the standard endings. Also in common with other languages, the irregular verbs are typically the most common. So here we'll only discuss the verbs which have an irregular past participle and not worry if they're regular or irregular in other ways. Also, we won't try to be comprehensive, we'll just discuss a selection of verbs and give a flavour of the way in which they're irregular. So according to Marie de Gary, the 10 most common verbs in Guernsey in order are to be, to have, to do or to make, to go, to know, a fact, to be able to give, to want or to wish, to come and to take. So how she compiled this list isn't clear, but it doesn't seem unreasonable. Of these, only a couple have past participles which are regular, one of which is ally, to go, but this verb is highly irregular in other ways. So of those which are irregular, être, to be, has a past participle être.
Etai.
Etai.
Etai, which just means been. Ave, to have, has a past participle yai.
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 Yai, which means had. Faire, to do or to make, has a past participle fait.
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 Fait, which means done or made. Savoir, which is to know a fact, has a past participle sai.
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 Sai, known. Pouvier, to be able to, has a past participle pai.
Pai.
Pie.
Pai, being able. Vouiller, to want or to wish, has the past participle voulu.
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 Voulu, wanted or wished. Vni, to come, has the past participle venu.
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 Venu, which is come. Forward, to take, has a past participle prai.
Prime.
Prime.
Prai, which means taken. So we'll mention others when we discuss in more detail how we use the perfect tenses.